write the facts. I can't have people questioning my commitment to Man United.
This is an interview with Marcus Rashford in the Players Tribune. He's decided to go public with a very extended interview, giving his own perspective, who I really am, a few things that he wants to say. And what I want to do in this video is run through this interview. As I said, it's extended. It's Marcus Rashford's point of view. Let's be honest, Marcus Rashford's been awful this season. Man United have been equally as regressive this season. And rarely do we get the player's point of view. The first thing I want to say here is I would love to get more of this from more players. Because as football fans, you only understand a footballer by what you see on the pitch. Actions speak louder than words. And ultimately, that is what the majority of you are going to say in the comments here. And I know that. Do it on the pitch. Show your commitment to Manchester United by what you're doing on the pitch. What I want to do in this video, as I said, is going to run through this interview and pull out some key points which I think are worth discussing. You can let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll leave the link to this full interview in the comments if you haven't read it already yourself. So you go here and you see what he says in the first paragraph. I can't help but want people to just understand who I am as a person. And that's the main sort of vibe you get from this, is that Marcus Rashford clearly feels that whatever's been presented in the press isn't telling the whole story, and he doesn't want to sit by and watch it be said anymore, and he wants to give his own perspective. This paragraph here, by the way, talking about how he is portrayed in the press. There's a tone to it that you don't get with all footballers. It's not about going out, it's about how much the car costs or guessing the weekly salary. That's the Daily Mail. Do the same thing with Raheem Sterling. There's raging racists, and that's completely true. And that is 100% correct to call that out. That's the first thing I want to say there. He thinks that some of it goes back to the pandemic. That's how, I suppose, well, he was the one going up against Boris, getting the free schools for kids. That was when people were saying, focus on the football, Marcus. Keep politics out of football. You're doing too much. And then given this season, how Rashford's sort of fallen off a cliff, people are like, well, he's got the contract and then he's not focusing. A lot of this interview is about Marcus Rashford explaining how much he loves being a Manchester United player, what it means to him to be a Manchester United player. And you can see that right there. If you ever question my commitment to Man United, that's when I have to speak up. It's like somebody questioning my entire identity and everything I stand for as a man. And the reason that Rashford, that we as United fans are doing that this season, is because your entire identity on the pitch, it seems lost. Not lost, it just seems like not quite there. Retracted, removed. Not the Rashford last season who was playing with his shoulders back, chest out, just looked stronger, played stronger, ran faster, scored 30 goals. Everything was coming, well, not easy to Marcus Rashford last season, but he was making it look easy. That's what the greatest athletes do. But this season, people are questioning his commitment because the body language isn't there. And that's why people are questioning it, right? And I think fans have every right to do that because, as I said, fans can only judge a player by what they see on the pitch unless you get a look behind the looking glass like you do here. Going down it, as I said, go and read this whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole interview here. We'll be here for an hour and a half. This is him explaining what he was doing when he was younger and he was going to the cliff, or the buses that he had to take to go to the cliff. And look, this is what he said there. To me, just being there, it was everything. We used to stay until everyone had gone and the stadium was nearly empty, looking around and listening. Old Trafford. Goes on. He says it felt like home. And I don't doubt that. Nobody doubts that. For some United fans, this is just going to read like almost like an autobiography. There's not really much in here from Marcus Rashford saying, I know I've not been myself this season. I know I've not been up to the levels that I set last season. I want to right those wrongs. A lot of this is a lot of the space in this side of this article is given to him explaining just how much it means to him to play for Manchester United, rather than sort of explaining what's been going on this season. So I suppose it doesn't really give too many answers in that sense. I'm going to go down and read a bit more for you. He was speaking about when he was younger and the life-changing money that he was offered that he turned down to stay at Manchester United, and using that to sort of explain, look, everyone calls me a money grabber, but look, I could have grabbed more money when I was younger and I decided not to. Again, he feels the need to come out and speak about this. Is this? I wonder when that interview was recorded with the Players Tribune. Got no idea. Has it got an article? I don't think it's got a date on the article. I didn't actually look. Is this a direct response to what happened in Belfast? Because again, we can only judge by what we see in the press, by what we see on the pitch. And that there is not the actions of a man who is totally committed to Manchester United. I mean, it isn't. You don't go and do that the day before training and then not turn up to training. You don't get fined 2 weeks' wages because of that, because you're committed to United. It's the total opposite of that. I do wish that he kind of maybe, I mean, not explain it. He hasn't got to tell us everything. But I would like to have got a bit more clarity on his point of view as to why he did that. What was the reasoning behind it? Why he felt it was all right? Apologising for it? I think that might have helped. Goes down here and he says, look, money is great. It's a blessing, but dreams are priceless for me. For me, even at 11 years old, playing for United was my only goal. And he keeps reiterating that. As I said, at least 50% of this article, if not more, is Marcus Rashford explaining just how much it means to him to play for United. As you saw in that little clip there from the players. I'll leave the link to the actual Players Tribune interview on YouTube too, which I actually think is a different one to what this is? They might have done this as a written article and then a video one separately. Because I swear some of the stuff he was saying in that interview was actually different to what is written down here. He's saying down here, look, listen, the thing is football can be a bubble. I'm a human being. I've made mistakes that a lot of lads in their 20s make, and I've tried to learn from them. And this is the thing, right? Everybody makes mistakes in life. When you are a footballer and when you are earning what you are earning, there are certain mistakes you can't afford to make. There are certain things that you now can't do because you are in that limelight. When you gain something, you lose something. That's kind of the balance of life, really. I'm not coming here like some sort of philosophical lesson, but it's true. Everything requires sacrifice. As Rashford said there about the sacrifices that he's made, he's grafted to that point. And he is a human being, and everybody is entitled to make mistakes. But as I said, when it comes to footballers and relationships with fans, what happens on the pitch is where the talking is done. And Rashford's hardly spoken a word this season on the pitch. Go down here in a bit more. He goes, I can take criticism. I can take any headline from podcasts, social media, and the papers. I can take it. But if you start questioning my commitment to this club and for the love of football and bringing my family into it, then I'd simply ask you to have a bit more humanity. Again, it feels like Rashford's reached a tipping point, which has warranted this response from him. And there's going to be a lot of you that are saying this is just guff. This is, it's PR, it's spin. Some people's favourite words these days. This is Rashford trying to speak from his perspective. And I would love to see this more often from more footballers. I really, really would. Being allowed to take a further step in to try and understand the human as well as the footballer. Well, I think so anyway. Go down here, goes back and he says this. He goes, look, to finish. He goes, I promise you the world is not... Oh, Jim, my voice there. I promise you the world has not seen the best of this United squad and these players. We want to be back playing in the Champions League. Then we have a massive international tournament at the end of the season. We will be back where we belong. We just have to keep working, and that starts with me. If you back me, good. If you doubt me, even better. Marcus, again, I would love nothing more than for Marcus to refine that form from last year and turn himself into an elite level winger again. 30 goals last season. That's not a flash in the pan. That is across the course of an entire season. That's not a purple patch. That's incredible. But this season, something has changed. Is it Jadon Sancho with Erik ten Hag? Is it the fact that he signed that new contract? Is it the fact that Rasmus Højlund's come in and he's now taken the limelight and Rashford's on the left? Well, he's on the left wing anyway. I don't particularly think that interview answers many of the questions that a lot of United fans would have about what's different with you this season, Marcus. What that interview doubles down on, from Marcus Rashford's perspective, is how much it means to him to play to United. Well, Marcus, we're playing City at the weekend. You might have to make some runs where you don't receive the ball, but keep making them. Keep grinding to the end. Rasmus Højlund coming in has brought that energy up front and has made a massive difference. You love scoring against City. Scored in your first game there at the Etihad. Score again on Sunday. You've done your talking now off the pitch. Unfortunately, there's not been much talking from you on the pitch this season. I don't see this as a negative, an attempt to just regain popular opinion or whatever you want to call it. I don't see this as just a PR fluff piece. I see this as Marcus Rashford feeling that the tipping point has come and he wanted to put this out. I hope he now sees the tipping point on the pitch, because if he can follow this interview up with one of his best performances of the season against City, then we can look to the rest of the season, maybe from a different perspective, because up until this point, it's been very forgetful.